Life doesn't move in straight lines. It twists, turns, and surprises us along the way. On Better Things Ahead, we talk with people who have walked those winding paths. Each story reminds us of the lessons, hope, and promise of better things ahead.
Welcome in. Today we are going to be discussing on our podcast the idea of becoming parents. It's a pretty big topic and one that we probably have a lot of thoughts about. I know that before I became a parent, I had lots of thoughts about what it would be like to become a parent, and then I became a parent, and that changed everything. So I'm going to get some expert advice today from Nick and Megan Wilson. Nick and Megan are members of our church here at Ridgecrest. Y'all tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Nick Wilson, been a member. We've been coming here for right at 12 years now. Have 3 kids.
See, I said they were experts.
Yeah, definitely got it figured out. I'll let her run with it from there if she wants to tell ages and such.
We have 3 children. Our first is our daughter. She's 8 years old, and then we have a son who is 4, and then we have a daughter that is almost 6 months.
Yep. So y'all are right in the mix of it. Like y'all
all
got
the stages.
That's
we
right.
like to spread it out.
That's right. That's right. So you guys have been here for, like I said, 12 years.
Yep.
Y'all have made a lot of connections at our church, and y'all have become parents alongside a lot of other people who have become parents. What has that part been like, where you're kind of all becoming parents together? Has that been super helpful to you guys?
I would say yes, for sure. Just knowing you're in the trenches with other people sometimes, and when they say it takes a village, I agree wholeheartedly. But yeah, it's been cool just to, more than anything, like we know that our kids should have lifelong friends too, just because it's people that we're raising children together. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you really have any expectations of what to expect when you become parents, but being in the trenches with other people, it gives you somebody to relate to and make it kind of bring you to reality of like, not everything's going to be perfect. You can lower your expectations. We're all in this together. We're all learning together. You don't feel like you're on an island.
Okay, so one of the things I remember hearing a lot before I became a parent from people who were parents already is you think you know what it is to become a parent, and you probably have ideas about what you're going to do as a parent, and then you become a parent and that changes because you begin to actually experience it. Was that true for you guys? And then what were some of the things that you, if that's the case, what were some of the things that you guys saw that like changed in a pretty big way for you guys?
Ignorance is bliss. We had no idea.
Yeah.
We had no idea what we were getting into. We didn't have children. We weren't really around a lot of people that had small children. There weren't any small children in our family. So we had no idea what we were getting into when we decided, hey, we're ready to start our family. So I feel like there were some things we learned the hard way, just trying to adjust with what it was like to bring a human alongside with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I was an only child, so I didn't have siblings that had kids. Megan's the oldest, and in her family, so we were the first kind of in our families to have kids. So, yeah, my expectations were I had none because I didn't know what I was getting into, and maybe that was a good thing, but it also rocked my world as well,
A lot.
in a good way. So,
A lot.
Yeah, for sure. I think one big expectation that we had was I grew up with 2 working parents.
This was a we expectation.
Yeah, away is in me and the mouse in my pocket, I guess. But no, I grew up with 2 working parents, so I just always like that was my normal. Is that she would work, I would work, and we tried that for a while after our first child, and that we found out quickly that was not going to work for us.
Yeah,
so that was one big one that comes to mind. You said that we thought expectations that changed. So
we just didn't anticipate. I was more than happy to try to continue working, but we didn't anticipate illnesses with young babies, and not having, we moved here from the North Mississippi, Memphis area, so we don't have any family here, and we just didn't have anybody to call when Charlie, our oldest, was sick. It was us calling into work, and it got to a point where we were calling in so much that we had to figure out which one of us was quitting our job before they told us they no longer needed us.
Yeah. And it got to the point where we were like counting down, like, well, I've had 4 and you've had 3,
Yeah.
and who's going to do, so it kind of forced to make a decision. But
But we see God's
Yeah.
provision in that, because I feel like one of the biggest shifts for us was He slowly closed all of those doors for us to both work, to where it was like, this is obviously God's plan for us, for me to stay home with our children, because there was just no way we could make it work any other way.
yeah.
Yeah.
And every time I took a step back, God provided in big ways for us.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. So tell me about that first time you became a parent. What was that like?
Complete and utter shock for me.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you have that expectation, you have, the time to, so to speak, to get ready, be prepared, if you will, which I tell people, that's one thing I tell people, is like, you're not going to be ready. Like, mentally, you're never going to be there, so
Yeah.
to speak. You think you are, but, so for me, I mean, it was, childbirth is just a crazy thing, and being there, and once you see your child for the first time, I mean, I can't put words to that. I mean, it just, everything it's supposed to be, and then some, I guess, the best way to explain it.
Yeah.
I think it was a little different for me. With the first one, it was kind of surreal, like, oh, this is my child I need to take care of. What am I supposed to do? I remember leaving the hospital thinking, they didn't give us any classes. What are we supposed to do with this?
Look, it was the second day we were at home. We were sitting on the couch, and the women listeners will understand this, and husbands as well, fathers. Like, there's a lot going on emotionally for the mom. Obviously, day 2, I'm sitting in the recliner. I was off work. We're at home together, and I look over there, and she's just crying, and I was like, "What did I do?" That was my first thought. What did I do? And I said, "What's wrong?" And she looked at me and she's like, "They literally sent us home with a baby and didn't tell us what to do." Like, that was her exact response. And of course, now I'm laughing. So, but it was, I mean, that's a very real feeling or
it
thought. Is like, you're in the hospital and you have it seems like every 30 minutes, someone's walking in the door to check on mom or baby or whatever. And then you look up and you're at home, and that's gone quickly.
But that's where our community came in that first time. We had our life group loving on us, bringing us food. I would text other moms that had recently become moms, and like, I didn't know what to put her in at night. I'm like, okay, I'm supposed to do the swaddle, but do I put a sleeper on her too? And I remember texting Leah Ross, and she's like, well, you can do, and just kind of walk me through some things. Or
I remember early on, Ellen came over, and just like, Ellen Wallace came over, and Liam was, I remember vividly, because Liam was just old enough to where, like, he could sit in the floor with, like, a sandwich, which created a problem for me, because I had a golden retriever I had to shoo away from Liam. And I remember
butter
that
sandwich?
it was a peanut butter sandwich, yeah. But I remember Ellen just coming and being like, I'll just sit with you. And I remember, like, I called Ryan and was like, hey, Megan's struggling with some things. What do I do? And Ryan was like, man, you're doing, like, just be there. You're doing fine. So,
I think he said, be there and feed and water her.
yeah, that's what he said. He told me, he's like, make sure to feed and water Megan too, So, but not all that goes back to what you said originally, just like having community and people that you're doing life with and raising children together. So you don't realize how important that is, but it definitely is, especially in hindsight.
A lot of what's helped us too is with our life group, it was kind of unique. All of us were a life group together before we really had children. There were about 2 or 3 years, I think, right when we started the group, Nathan McClure came along.
A little bit after
Alyssa
that.
was pregnant with Nathan maybe the next year or so, but a lot of us got to build relationships when it was easier to hang out and make dinner plans and do things together before we had children. So we had those we had the basis of those relationships to fall on when things got hard.
Yep.
We had people to call on that we felt like we could trust, that had the same thought processes as us.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to take a second and kind of think through. You guys have talked about some things that were kind of baseline and helpful as far as foundational things, relationships that you had ahead of time, that sort of thing. What I want to do is I want to take a second, and as we think about you guys becoming parents, how that has changed your lives in some ways. So I want to work from kind of like the outside in.
Okay.
And so the first question I have is you mentioned these relationships you already had in place. How has becoming parents changed those relationships?
As far as life, like our life group people, I would say it's just, I mean, it made us closer because it's another season of life or another thing we're going through with the same people. I would say in those specific ones, it's just another stepping stone that's grown us closer together.
Yeah.
With our life group specifically.
Sure.
I feel like we learned who everyone was in the church. When you join the children's ministry and you have a baby in the nursery, you meet so many different people.
That's good.
Before children, Nick and I worked every other weekend. So we were just coming to church on those opposite weekends, and we really just knew the people in our life group. But once you have a baby that's going back to the nursery, you meet all of these other people maybe that have children in the same classes as your children, or grandparents that have decided that they want to work the nursery. We met a lot of people through the children's ministry.
That's cool.
Yeah.
One thing I'll say is I've noticed that my circle of influence, the people that I'm around, actually expanded through my kids in a lot of ways, because like now all of a sudden I'm meeting all the parents on their team, like all the kids on their team. I'm meeting some of their friends from school, some of their parents, and so like it's changed our circle in some ways because we have those people that were there, but we also now have added new people in, and that's been a cool thing that I wasn't really ready for as a parent. One thing that I hadn't thought about a whole lot. Okay, so that's that circle. Now let's kind of move into how has that step of becoming a parent changed you? That's a big reflection question. I can think of specific ways that becoming a parent changed me.
Oh no, there's a ton for sure. I mean, something jokingly you talk about is you don't realize how much time you had before you had children. So I would say in a good way has made me a lot less selfish. You don't realize how selfish you can be with your time when the only person or people that you we had to plan around each other before kids, but other than that, we just did what we wanted when we wanted. So it's in a very good way has made me way more selfless, which is a good thing.
I guess it just shifts your focus on what's really important. I feel like before we had children, your focus is kind of on career or where we're going with certain jobs, and after you have children, you're just kind of, I feel like we move to this mind frame of, okay, what's the equation where we can work the least amount of money or work the least amount, make it work with a budget, and then be home with the children. We shifted from how far can I excel in a career to how can I shift to where my focus is at home, but I'm still providing for the family.
Yeah, more of a balanced situation for sure.
Yeah. All right. How has it changed y'all's relationship?
I haven't thought about. We're trying to think of questions when you text and ask us. Like last night, I was literally. I think we just got done eating. I was washing some dishes. She was sitting at the table with the baby, and she was like, "Nick, I need you to ask me some like trial questions or something. Help me get ready." So
I think of things after the thought. Like we'll leave here today, and I'll be like, "Oh man, we could have talked about this or whatever."
So how the question was, how has it changed our relationship?
Yep. Because I don't know that a whole lot of people. I think a lot of people when they get into marriage and they begin to have family, like they begin to have children, they think about that relationship with the kid, their individual relationships with their children. I think a lot of times it gets lost on them that there's a relationship that existed before.
Oh yeah.
That needs to be maintained and strengthened throughout the duration of their children's lives. so that there is a foundational relationship for them to go back to. And I think a lot of times we set that relationship aside to focus on the needs of the children, and that ultimately our marriages will suffer from that. And what we don't realize is that when our marriages suffer from that, that's really not good for the kids,
Right.
in the
That's
long
not
term.
well. I feel like the basis of our relationship. So when we dated, we were long distance our entire relationship.
Okay.
So
I don't know if I knew that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we met our freshman year at Mississippi State and my sophomore year, I decided I was moving back to Memphis and going to go to nursing school, and he stayed at Mississippi State. And that's literally the day before he moved back to Starkville. We were like, hey, we should maybe date. And
Like officially,
officially
make
date.
it official.
And so we dated long distance for, I guess it was 4 years
4
because
years.
we did a victory lap.
Yep.
Kind of. We both had internships. But
No, I definitely stretched it out.
so we were really good at communicating and working through hard
Yeah.
things because we weren't able to be together all of the time. And we spent a lot of time talking on the phone and talking through things. And I feel like one of the things that has helped us the most is we know how to communicate with each other. I have never in my life been scared to bring something up to Nick and say, hey, I'm struggling with this, or I need this to be different. And in turn, he's never offended by that. Like, oh, I'm not doing something right. What do you mean? I've got it wrong. No, he's not like that. He's like, oh, okay, well, I didn't see it that way. Let's work through it. So I don't know that it changed, but it was a good strength that we had to be able to communicate and work through things. With that, I would say that parenting, it definitely changed us. And with that first one, with Charlie, our oldest, after about a year and a half, I decided to stay home. I worked with Charlie full time until she was about 6 months old. And then I worked part time. And at about a year and a half, about a year, he was like, Megan, I think you're losing yourself in motherhood. I think you need to find something for you. At that point, I'd been working out and I'd started running a little bit, and that it kind of pushed me to be like, you know what, I think I do want to do something for myself. And so I started running long distances and found a run group, and it just kind of became my thing away from the responsibilities of home. It gave me an outlet, and he has been so supportive of that throughout the whole parenting journey. So that was with the first one. After Wyatt, I remember that's our second, thinking, I've got to get back to running. Like, I've got to find my place. And then with this third one, it was about 2 months in, and I told him, I was like, we've got to figure out how I can get back to the gym.
Yeah.
And he knew it. He's like, I know. He's like, I know you need to get back to the gym. I know you need to get back to doing something for you. And so it's a way that he supports me outside of being a mom.
Yeah.
So that would be probably some of the biggest advice, is just finding ways to support each other outside of that role.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's something we've known, like how it's changed our relationship. I think we had a really good foundation, luckily. We were in, when we had our first child, we were in a life group that Steve and Anna Given were leading that life group at the time. And they just, at the time, we were like, this is so weird. All they ever talk about is make sure to prioritize your spouse. Like, what? Like, yeah, I get that. But I mean, they were like beating it over our heads to like have a date night, have a getaway, have a vacation, like make sure to have time. And we were all in that first child stage, and looking back, realize how important that was. But I think something that's changed, it's helped us be able to see, like she said, like see when the other one, something's missing, or, you know, and being open enough to be like, hey, like, you're not your best self right now. What do we need to do?
Yeah.
How can I help you get to that place? So that was something that definitely changed for us. But I think we were long distance, so we had to be very intentional when we were dating. So I think we just tried to stay intentional, even with kids. And sometimes that looks like our date night is watching the show together once the kids go to bed, or turning the TV off, sitting there and just having a conversation, whatever it is.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, that's something I would encourage that you guys, but also any parents that kind of are in the beginning stages of it. We're a long way down the road now. We're sending them out of the house, and that is a different step. But like, we're in a very busy season of life, Julie and I are, and I would say like, you've got to find ways to just remember each other.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be big stuff. A lot of times it's us riding down the road together to go watch a baseball game.
Right.
You know, and like us sitting together at a baseball game and just talking to each other, and you know, little things like that. Like that's where we find our time for each other, and it's easy to fall into that busy schedule and just say, well, we'll just get back to each other when we're done with this busy schedule of life. And then a lot of people find they get out of that and they're like, I don't know this person anymore. And we just didn't want that to happen to us.
We both grew up in that situation.
Yeah.
My parents divorced when I was 15, 16. And hers were once her younger sister moved to college. So we both have seen that.
Yep.
And I think a lot of folks look at that and go, oh, that's such a tragedy. But we've both found the silver lining in that. And I think that is because of the way our parents did marriage. We put a way higher priority on it because we realize how fragile it really can be. So we just try to prioritize that and make sure that it is above our children. And I think we do a good job of that. I mean, there's times where we don't, but we're quick to call each other out on it and say, hey, you know, let's figure this out. So
yeah.
I mean, it's one of our top priorities as parenting is make sure our children know the love of Jesus. And I would think second is make sure that they understand the strength and security that comes from two people loving each other through all of the hard things. And I think that's how we demonstrate the love of Jesus, because he loves us when we're imperfect. And so they are physically getting to see the imperfections of mom and dad, but mom and dad still love each other. They still support each other.
Yep.
And
that's a good word. Yep.
Yeah. They just know that home is always going to be a safe place.
All right. One more relationship that I want you guys to just kind of reflect on. How has becoming a parent changed your relationship with God?
You thinking? I'll go if you're thinking.
Yeah, you can go.
It has. I feel like I have to be it's made me more intentional because time becomes more limited. And I'm not going to sit here and tell the lie that I'm the guy that wakes up at 4:30 and reads the Bible by myself and all that, because that would be a lie. But I have found that I want my children to see how important that is. So I know a lot of people really need that full-blown quiet time. I have found a way to kind of bring the kids into that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of times, like, was it last year? Last year, we went through the children's Jesus Storybook Bible. So literally every morning, and no, we weren't perfect, but a few times a week at least, I would just read a story out of that while we were eating breakfast. So a lot of that's more their discipleship.
Sure.
But I'm getting something out of that too.
Yep.
And I would then take that later in the day or whatever and go kind of dive into what that was in my own Bible. And I mean, it's just, like I said, I think it's made me more intentional with that relationship, because now I'm not just, I don't just need a relationship with God just for me.
Yeah.
It's to model to them ultimately and disciple to them. Because that's something that Steve Given also said. He told us once his became empty nesters, his children, he told me one time, he's like, he said, if I could wish for one more thing, the only thing I would ever wish for with my kids is that I discipled them more. He said, nothing else matters. And that's a good hindsight. So
for sure.
I take that advice and I go, the best way I can disciple them is make sure that my relationship is right with God first, and then pour into them.
Yep.
I can answer for you if I need to. But
No, it definitely makes you closer to God, because there's no way that we could do this without Him, without His truth. I mean, I'm learning right now, the women's ministry just went through the first, second, and third John, and I'm a little bit behind, so I'm still learning. But like, we put all truth against the measure of God, and how else would you know how to raise your children if you don't have that standard to hold them to? I also think, like, my relationship with God may not be perfect. I don't think any like, we're human, we're not going to be perfect, but I think that the biggest thing with parenting and maybe life is just consistency. It may not perfection. So I just try to approach my relationship with God with consistency, showing up as I can, just the way that I show up with my children too. But yeah, you lean on Him a lot,
Yeah.
and it shows you how much that we don't know about God and how much He loves us, because I cannot think of any greater love than I have looking at those kids.
Yep.
So to imagine that His love for us is even greater,
Yeah.
it's hard to picture.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So the way I've thought about it, and I agree with what both of you have said as far as intentionality and consistency, and just the idea that God would love us in the way that He does. It's just all those things are have been very clear in my parenting journey, and I think Julie would say the same thing. And I'd say the other thing, that we have really learned how to pray through that whole process of, man, you think you know how to pray before you have children, and there are people who don't have children that know how to pray. I've met them, but that having children and being completely, sometimes at a loss for what to do or how to handle a situation or whatever, like, that'll help you depend on God.
I can agree, because I don't think I ever truly poured my heart out
Yeah.
before having children.
Yeah.
I really don't. But there's been multiple times
Yeah.
that's happened with kids, for sure.
Yeah.
So
All right. So last question, and this is kind of, I'm going to get to that question through kind of there's a trend in our culture that is very, very anti-children. It's like, you need to live your life, you need to build your career, you need to travel, you need to have fun. Children keep you from doing all those sorts of things. I'm curious to know if a friend of yours came to you and said, hey, we're at that point in our marriage where we're thinking about having kids, but we really don't want to, because, man, it's just like, we just want to travel, we want to have fun, we want to build careers, we want to put a lot of money away, those sorts of things. But I'm curious to know what you think about it. What would you tell them?
Oh, I have an answer for this one.
Okay.
If I would have known it was going to be this much fun, I would have started sooner and had more.
It's a great answer.
Kelly
But-
thinks that's a great answer too. She's losing it over there. No pressure, Kelly. Who's soon to be married, I believe. We jokingly say,
But I
ahead.
also feel like God's timing is absolutely perfect.
That's where I was
If we
going.
would have started earlier, we wouldn't be the parents we are today.
Yeah.
We were different people in our early 20s, and we didn't have children till our late 20s. So it was God's perfect timing that lined everything up, His provision, to where when we did decide to have children, we were in a different financial place to where we could make it work for me to step back from work. And then just each time we had another child, we were just in a different place. And it's been, I feel like there's just been this, like, I guess, full circle moment, like in cap with our last daughter. there's so much sweetness to her infancy that I feel like I missed with our first daughter because you just don't know. I told a friend the other day, she's in the same exact situation, got the same exact age gap, and the oldest daughter was like, "Do you love me as much as you love the little one?" And I told her, I said, "We don't love the little one any more. We didn't know we loved that first one this much. I just did not know that I could love somebody so much."
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, no, I think my biggest advice to someone, if you're having that thought of having children and you don't have children, you've been married for a few years, whatever the situation is, I would tell you, one, just to lean into that and pray about that.
Sure.
But also take your guard down would be my advice. You don't know what you're getting into. There's never going to be enough in the bank to start trying or have kids. Right. Like, your schedule's not going to work out. Like, you're just going to have to lean into it. And I'm the personality that's either you're all in or you're all out. There's no in between for me. So I would just encourage people, like, look, you're never going to be ready.
Yeah.
But if you're having the thought, there's a reason you're having that thought. And I would say really lean into that. Pray through that. Lean on other friends, other parents, and just don't run from it would be my main thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. And to piggyback on what you were saying, Megan, one of the things I'll say, for somebody who's thinking about like maybe starting that journey of having kids, and the fear is, I don't know if I'll have enough love to give. One of the things I have found with every one of our children is like your capacity to love grows. It does not get smaller. You don't have a reservoir that just runs out. Like, it just grows. Like, it's weird. I don't know how to explain it, but like, you're like, there's no way I can give enough love to all three of these kids. That we have three, it may be more than that you end up with, but like
don't put that on me.
Yeah. Like, it's a crazy thing. Like, it's just that there seems to be, and it comes from God, I believe, but like this ability for us to grow in love in a way that's just amazing. I'm curious to know what the next step for us after, we send all of ours out is when they start to marry people and when they start to have their children. And I have seen changes in grandparents. Like that's one of the things we'll have to get some grandparents in here. But like, it's so interesting to see that journey, and it doesn't feel like their capacity for love is diminished. It seems like it just grows.
It just keeps
I remember
growing.
the night before we had our son, our second one, and I remember leaving our daughter. She was already asleep by the time it was time to go to the hospital, and just thinking like, there's no way I'm going to love this one as much as I love that one. And there is a way. And your love for the first one grows because you see them become a sibling. You love the second one. You recognize the love more.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
I agree. It doesn't make sense. Like, and if you have anyone that's listening that has one child, they're thinking about the second one, and that's an issue for them, I would tell them, like, I would just set that aside completely. It doesn't make sense. I do agree. I think it's a God thing because it doesn't make sense any other way. But, I mean, you just, like you said, your reservoir doesn't run out. It's just you have a different capacity for love. And it's not that I love my three kids 33.3%. Like, they all get 100% love. It's just, it looks a little different. So, but it's a neat thing. It's awesome.
Absolutely.
It seems like with couples, there's always one that is very cautious and like the thinker and the planner of like, no, we've got to have this lined up. And then there's always one that's like, no, it's all going to work out. It's fine. And obviously I'm the one that's like, no, it'll be fine. It'll work out. Like, we don't need to plan it. We'll just figure it out as we go.
Yeah.
And that's how it's been probably each time we added a child of like, we're just gonna figure it out. I think this is what God wants for us. And
yeah.
But in hindsight, we've seen, I mean, I could go through example after example of how God's provision lined up before having one, after having one, job changes, career changes, just all the different things. So,
yeah. Well, this has been a great conversation. I have a feeling we could probably talk a lot more about this, but anyways, I thank y'all so much for coming on. I've enjoyed hearing y'all's thoughts, and I hope they've been really helpful to our audience. I will say, if you have questions about becoming a parent, if you're interested, if you're curious, if you want more information on what to expect, those sorts of things, we as a church would love to help you out. We have people that have lots of experience with it. We have people that love this process and love discipling children. It's a privilege of being a parent, but it's also a privilege of being a church where we get to come alongside our community and disciple their children. And so we want to encourage you, if you have questions, reach out to our church. We'll be happy to help you hook up with some of these families and talk to them about this, how this all works and how they've stepped into the process. But we want you to know that there is a way to step into this with God on your side, with your church on your side, with a group of people who care about you, that want to support you. And so we encourage you to reach out to us and to know that there are always better things ahead.
Thanks for joining us on Better Things Ahead. Follow the show on Spotify and Apple Podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for the video of our podcast. Until next time, keep moving forward, because there are always better things ahead.